Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Overkill Reviews. I'm Dylan Gowan, and I'm back for my second review. Thanks so much to everyone for all the kind feedback and comments that I got on my first video. It's really appreciated. Before we get into the main topic of this video, just a quick reminder that Banger Films is on Patreon, so make sure that you check out all the available perks that we got available on our Patreon campaign. So I know I'm kind of the designated prog guy on this channel, but this week is going to be a little bit more power. And that snare tone is just, it's so awesome, but we'll talk more about all the nerdy drum stuff later. It's the new album by Primal Fear called Apocalpyse, out August 10th on Frontiers Records. So who exactly is Primal Fear? Primal Fear are a German power metal band formed in 1997 with former Gamma Ray vocalist Ralf Scheepers, really hope I got your name right, and Matt Sinner. They've been putting out records since 1998 and are best known for putting on these epic showcases of everything that's power metal. Their biggest selling album was 2012's Unbreakable, and Apocalpyse is their 12th studio album. And to be completely honest with you guys, I'm actually not too familiar with Primal Fear's discography. I'm more familiar with the progressive side of metal versus the more power metal side of it, but I have seen them live and they put on a great show. And plus, there's a great festival in the States called Prog Power that showcases great up-and-coming prog metal bands as well as some great power metal bands. So both styles seem to work really well together in a festival setting or a lineup. So I just wanted to try something brand new and let's see how it is. So when my colleagues keep recommending me this band, they kept saying that there's this almost very Judas Priest heavily influenced blend into their style. So right out of the gate, I was kind of expecting some intensity and I got it. So the great thing about that track is just the absolute intensity of it. I just love that kind of just like gallopy, just really all intense, like just like anything that makes you just want to air guitar on a track, you know you have something going for yourself. And especially like when you see guys who are just like myself just air drumming to it, it's just like, you know, it's just fun. Like a great way to kind of kick off the record. One of the biggest highlights on this record has to be Supernova, where it adds kind of this orchestral element, you know, as the tracks go on, or you're kind of thinking, well, okay, they're a good solid power metal band, but when you get a little bit of a curveball into it, where you have like orchestras like on Supernova and you have this big bombastic chorus, it's just, as a musician and you're listening to it, you're thinking, oh, that sounds so clever. That's such a good blend of both styles. And I really wish that that was the closing track rather than Cannonball. Cannonball's a good song, don't get me wrong, but I think if you swapped them, I think it would just make the record flow better, just in my opinion, but you know, don't shoot the prog guy. Another great track, it has to be Hounds of Justice. Probably their weirdest track on the record, but the chorus reminds me of like kind of a new wave of American metal. Like I could really see like Killswitch Engage kind of doing that similar riff and kind of having Howard Jones or Jesse do vocals with Ralph. That would be so freaking cool, just especially on just that one section of the record. But they did this kind of Middle Eastern sounding thing that go into the verse to that chorus, and I just think like that's just, it's so clever. When you have something on a record where you're thinking, oh, I wish I thought of that from a musician standpoint, you know you've got something really cool. All right, I'm a drummer, so let's talk about drums. The drummer for Primal Fear, of course, is Francesco Giovino. They just have a very natural and heavy feel to it that I think that is basically what I expected to see on an actual power metal record. Kind of this really big, over-the-top, like very like thick drum sound. It doesn't sound like Superior Drummer, which is a plus, because that program sucks. Wow, I'm gonna get so much hate for saying that, but it's true. It sounds like typewriter drums, man, it sucks. Francesco is a great drummer, and the band is paired up with Jakob Hansen, who's also famous for his work with Amaranth. You know, they found a really good blend of both the engineer and the drummer to get the tones that they want on this record. So anything that kind of makes you want to air drum and just listening back and going like, okay, this guy's playing it for real. It's not overly quantized. It's not overly like, you know, to the grid. There is a little bit of room that everyone can breathe. It sounds natural and it does not sound like Superior Drummer. So I'm super grateful for that. I guess the only negative thing I really have to say about this record is that the lyrics are a little bit too cheesy for me. Then again, that's kind of the fun of power metal, is just, you know, singing those kind of cheesy lyrics as much as it is fun for me to kind of air guitar or air drum the whole record. But when I look at tracks like, you know, Blood, Sweat, and Fear, The Beast, and Hail to the Fear, you know, there's a little bit that's a little bit too cheesy in terms of lyrics, in my opinion. But since Ralph's such a strong vocalist, I think that, you know, those super minor criticisms are very, very forgivable. I guess the only other minor criticism on it would be there was only a handful of tracks that included orchestrations on it, and those parts really brings a lot more life into the track. And I think that if you're gonna do orchestral parts, rather than just only sticking it to like a handful of tracks, more of 75% orchestration versus 20%. Then again, it's just, you know, I'm a big fan of orchestrations, so it is what it is. So the thing that relates power metal bands and progressive metal bands is that they always want to put on a very epic live show. And with this record, Apocalypse, it's pretty epic. It's solid songs, solid musicianship, solid production, and it makes me want to go see them live again, that's for sure. So that's why I'm going to give Apocalypse 4 out of 5 skulls. Before we cap off the video, there's a couple of shout-outs I wanted to mention. Some other great records came out August 10th. Big one being 3.2, The Rules Have Changed, out on the same label as Primal Fear, Frontiers Records. This is Robert Barry's latest recordings, and other big thing about this record that makes it so important to listen to is that it features the last recordings of Keith Emerson of ELP, and so definitely highly recommend giving it a listen. And another record that came out this week that's, you know, very bizarre. It's Van Canto's Trust and Rust. They're an a cappella metal group. It's so weird, but for some reason, I like it a lot. I love the battery cover that they did, and I think their new record's gonna be, is gonna be awesome, believe me. It's so weird, it's good. And that'll be it for this review. Big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. Keep on air drumming.